How's everyone? Grant here. Welcome back to another camera comparison video. This is the low light test between the Samsung Galaxy A51 and the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Now, I've already compared these phone cameras in some good lighting conditions, so if you missed that, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go check that out for yourself. Now, these can both be had for under $300 here in the US, and for that kind of money, you wouldn't really be expecting any good low light performance from these cameras. But like I always do, I took a bunch of photos and videos so you can see for yourself. Go ahead and check out all these photos and videos, and I'll come back at the end and let you know what I thought about how each of these cameras performed. And so let's go. Hey everyone, so here's some 1080p 30 frames per second footage from both cameras in low light. Obviously this is at night, so this will give you a good idea of how both of these cameras perform. And a bit of low light here, and I can move the camera around. You can put it up into the lights so you can see how it handles any kind of light flares into those bright lights right there. And I'll pan back around and we'll walk around here a little bit. You can see how the stabilization looks like at night. Usually there's some pretty good jitters in low light, but you can check out how that performed right there. One last pan around here, and that's just a quick clip, 1080p 30 frames per second and some low light. Hey everyone, so we're back with a 4K 30 frames per second clip from each of these cameras and some low light. Again, at night, same situation here. So I can pan up to the lights. You can see how it does in 4K into some of these pretty bright lights here. And we can pan back and check out the stabilization real quick. We'll do some walking. So again, a quick 4K clip being shot at 30 frames per second. The Redmi Note 8 Pro can actually shoot in 4K 60, but the Galaxy A51 cannot. So just wanted to do a quick apples to apples comparison here in a bit of low light with some 4K footage for you. Hey everyone, so here's a quick clip of the front-facing cameras at 1080p, 30 frames per second on both the A51 and the Note 8 Pro. So I can actually pan around here. Obviously this is low light at night. You can see how it handles some of those bright lights in the background right there. Some of those lens flares, which are expected. Those are some really intense, pretty bright lights. I'll walk around here so you can kind of see how these stabilize in some pretty low light conditions here. So these are pretty tough conditions. I wouldn't expect these cameras to perform that well here. A little bit brighter light here, so they should be doing a little bit better. We can pan on here to see how they look. But again, just a quick clip here of both these cameras, front-facing cameras, and a little bit of low light here. Alright, so we're back. The A51 can do 4K 30 frames per second here, and the Note 8 Pro still can only max out at 1080p, but I thought I would show you the max resolution on each and how they compare here in some low light. So you saw the 1080p clip. You can kind of compare that with this 4K clip here on the A51 and how that compares here to the 1080p on the Note 8 Plus. And we can go ahead and walk around here. The A51, I'm pretty sure, is not going to stabilize too well here at 4K, but at least it gives you a little bit of idea of what the max resolution looks like compared on each of these phones here. And again, a little bit more light in this spot, so you can see how the 4K on the A51 might be performing right now up against that 1080p on the Note 8 Plus. So just a quick comparison clip here on the front-facing cameras. Hey everyone, so now that you've seen all the photos and videos for yourself, I'll let you know what I think about how each of these cameras performed. So starting with the rear cameras, the A51 produces better images without too much noise, but the Note 8 Pro gets bright enough and represents the scene more accurately. Both handle bright lights pretty well, but the Note 8 Pro has a bit less lens flare. Using night mode on the A51 doesn't produce much of a difference since it already produces bright images without it enabled. On the other hand, the night mode on the Note 8 Pro is more noticeable and draws out more detail in the image. The ultra wide angle camera is much brighter on the A51 and produces much better results than the Note 8 Pro. Also, the A51 ultra wide angle camera has the option to use night mode while the Note 8 Pro does not. As far as video from the rear cameras, the A51 is a bit brighter, but the Note 8 Pro is bright enough and again produces a more accurate representation of the scene with a bit less lens flare. Like the daylight photos, the Note 8 Pro again results in overblown and poor colors at 4K resolution. Moving on to the front camera, the Galaxy A51 produces better images with an overall softer tone. The Note 8 Pro is bright enough with more details overall and produces an image that looks closer to the actual scene. Night mode did not make much of a difference in each of these cameras as they do a better than expected job of detecting enough light in auto mode. I assure you, it was pretty dark in each of those photos. The colors on the indoor shot look better on the A51, although my skin was a bit too pasty. I really don't look like that. At least I don't really think I do. And the actual look of that photo was somewhere in between what each phone camera produced. Video on the front camera produces about the same level of brightness on each, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I really thought the Note 8 Pro would be much darker. Also, like the photos, the A51 produces the overall softer image quality. Lastly, as expected, the 4K video from the A51 produces darker image quality than at 1080p while recording in low light. So in summary, I prefer the Redmi Note 8 Pro in low light overall. While the A51 is brighter, it can introduce more noise and retains less overall image detail in most of the photos and video. Anyway, that's just what I think about how each of these cameras performed. Let me know what you think and which you preferred in the comments below, and let's continue the discussion down there. Any other questions or comments, leave them down below as well. And as always, thanks for watching.